So we are going to go over the vocab words and their definitions, and I am recording this too for the kids at home. So if you did not get these, I think my digital notebook is on the classroom that you can go in and check it. But so Spellbinder, the life of Harry Houdini. I'll have to fix that. So the first word, certify, means to conform as true or genuine. Commence means to begin. Devise means a plan or design. Obstacle, something that stands in the way of something. Vaudeville, now you can see that this is capitalized, so that should have told you that it was a proper noun, either a place or a person, or this obviously is what they used to call people who wanted to get started as actors or performers. Vaudeville was the place to go. It was a theatrical entertainment consisting of a number of entertainers. A mural is a large picture painted on the wall. Urban, of or relating to a city. There's urban and then there's rural. I always have a hard time saying that word, rural. But most of us, we're in a rural area. Commotion, a lot of noise and movement. Patron, now we had this vocab word when we learned about Casey at the Bat, and I threw it in there just because I was hoping you would remember it. Possibly did not. But a patron is a person who is a customer. Metamorphosis is a profound change in form. Restrain means to hold back. Flounder in this context is to fail. Billiards. Now this is an old term and I wanted you to know what it was because this is kind of what people did back then. They didn't per se have the game pool yet. But billiards is similar to pool, but the balls are white and red, I believe. Oops. And then this is over top of, there we go. And the last word is accusation, charge of wrongdoing. Obviously, when you hear that word, you should think of the shorter word without the suffix, accuse, and you know what that means, so they are related. So that is the vocab for Spellbinder, the life of Harry Houdini. So go ahead and get out your packets. I wanted you to have the story marked up in red for today so we can go over the vocab and the questions at the back. Don't forget that you have a crisscross puzzle too, that now that you have the definitions, if you want to check, maybe we'll have some time at the end of the class for you to check that. Okay, it's been a while since I've done this. I forget how to do this. There we go. All right, so here is the story. This also is on Classroom. Now, I'm going to have you guys read the first page because I didn't mark mine up and I want the kids at home to see what I mean because I have some new students. If you would turn this in, I'm just betting 1,000. Like this, I wouldn't accept this because there's no active reading on here. Oh my goodness. Let's try that for the third. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it because it doesn't look too bad for you guys. All right. So can someone? So yesterday we did a lot of talking about or whenever you were here last, about Harry Houdini. We did a KWL chart that should be on the back of the first page. We discovered that we didn't know much about Harry Houdini. And so remember that before you start reading, you always look at the title because sometimes the theme is right in the title. Obviously, this is a biography. We talked about biography. Biography. What does the root bio mean? Do you guys remember? What does that root bio mean? Had it up on the board. What does it mean? It means life. So remember that. So bio means life, and then graph means to what? Well, it means to write. These are root words. And so if we so in English what they did is they put those two root words together. They put bio, which means life, and graph together and made a new word. And if you take both of those roots, which is what you need to do when you take your SATs, I know bio means life, I know graph means to write. So a biography is a story of somebody's life written by somebody else. Now you guys, you can write this if you want, but you probably already have this written down, but I'm just kind of doing this for the kids that missed the conversations we have. You need to know what a biography is. Okay, so let's do some active reading. And then if you have questions from your own reading, we will go over them. And then we'll go over the last page. Don't forget tomorrow, your 80 minutes are due for this week. So vaudeville, the variety stage show. Okay, so vaudeville, I don't know what vaudeville means, but I know context clues, there's a comma, and I know that usually the definition is right after an unknown word. And in this case, that is true. Right there is the definition of vaudeville. Vaudeville, we've already talked about, was a variety stage show back at the turn of the century, the 19th century. Was the premier family entertainment at the end of the 19th century. Singers, comedians, dancers, impersonators. Okay, I see a little footnote here. I'm not quite sure what an impersonator is. So a footnote means down here, they'll tell me what it is. So impersonator is performers who mimic the voices of or appearances of other people, usually famous people. Comedy singers, comedy dancers, and magicians filled out affordable 3-hour shows for growing audiences. So they didn't have TV, so this was their entertainment. They would go to it kind of like the movie theaters, and they would watch people perform. And Harry Houdini was one of those performers. That's how he got started. Promoters built lavish theaters. Okay, here's a vocab word. I don't know what the word lavish means. Now remember, I'm doing this because this is what I'm expecting you to do. This is active reading. So now we can discuss this. So can anybody use context clues? Can you give me a synonym for the word lavish? First of all, visualize in your head. Would those be nice theaters or would they be rundown theaters? What do you think? Nice or rundown? Nice. Right. So can we have a synonym for lavish? Fancy, very good. I'm glad you didn't say nice. Right, so if something is lavish, it's really over the top, okay? The connotation of that word sends a very positive message, okay? So that's active reading. Here was your question. Here is the T. You have tracked down your answer. Decorated with huge chandeliers, pillars, and murals. This is a vocab word. What's a mural? From going over our vocab this morning, what's a mural? Elliot? It is. It's a painting on the wall. Actually, Old City has quite a few of those. Um, yep, on the side of the buildings, that's a mural. That is not graffiti. That is a mural. Murals that give audiences comfortable places to relax and see first-rate shows. There were several tiers of vaudeville theaters. The best acts played the Keith Albee circuit of theaters on the East Coast and the Orpheum circuit on the West. But in 1894, the husband and wife team of Bess and Harry Houdini were far from prime-time players. Okay, I just learned something about Harry Houdini. He did get married. His wife's name is Bess, and she was in the show with them. Ranked below vaudeville were the dime museums, an outgrowth of P.T. Barnum's museums. Okay, so here's a connection that I have for P.T. Barnum. The movie The Greatest Showman was about P.T. Barnum. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but I recommend it. Awesome movie. And I don't typically recommend movies. Yeah, it was better than you thought, wasn't it? It was really good. But that's the story of P.T. Barnum. Their magicians, jugglers, and puppeteers were jumbled together with curiosity or curio acts like sword swallowers, fire eaters, midgets, giants, and fat ladies. Performers did from 12 to 20 shows a day for very low wages. Wow. Just once again, another connection. That's a lot. And having to always be in a good mood and funny and perform really takes a lot out of you. Okay, so I'm gonna walk around here once I get done recording to make sure that you went through and actively marked up your story. Remember, you need to do the questions as well. So let's do these two questions and then we'll move to the back page. So analyze visuals. What information does this poster provide about Houdini? They're talking about the poster on the next page. And remember, when we read nonfiction, they stick those in there. And as a kid, I would have looked at the pictures, right? So I'm just going to go through a model to you, what that question wants. So obviously, this is about Harry Houdini because he's the title. Europe's eclipsing sensation. The word sensation makes me think Harry Houdini must have been awesome. The world's handcuff king and prison breaker. Okay, so there's the title. Here's all these pictures. There's all different kinds of handcuffs. Those aren't the same types of handcuffs. So I'm going to guess that Harry Houdini could break out of any type of handcuff in the world. And then I see his feet also are chained. Nothing on earth can hold Houdini a prisoner. So yeah. So that was probably one of his tricks. The reason that we do that is just to point out that you don't ignore the visuals. Main idea and details. Remember, we need to know what the main idea is. Main idea is what the paragraph is all about or the story, right? And remember that term plot that we have been discussing all year. Remember, plot is a professional term that your teachers use. You guys need to know it, and all it is it's the details of a story. Remember, you have that plot diagram where you start the exposition, you have the rising actions, and then the climax, right? Now, this isn't a false story, but there still are elements of plots in nonfiction, right? Right here, they're telling us a little bit about vaudeville, the beginning of Harry Houdini's life. He just didn't become famous overnight. It took a lot of hard work and lots of failures. So if you guys think, when you fail, don't give up because we learn and we get better from failing in life. Michael Jordan was cut when he was in 10th grade from the basketball team. And in my opinion, he's the best basketball player ever. I quit watching basketball when he retired. Of course, it's been a long time ago, but he didn't quit, and he became better. Okay? He was not what the coach was looking for, and he wasn't very tall, and so he grew over that summer and came back, and yeah, exactly. I always like to say that because most everybody knows Michael Jordan and what he's accomplished. Okay, so hopefully you went through the whole story and did that. Now you didn't have to do some of the things on this page. I hope that you realize that. Like I forgot to tell you, like the extension and challenge, we don't need to do that because of time. So, and if when you read that, you probably figured out, well, I probably won't do that. Mrs. Warner probably won't have me do that. But let's go up here and see if we have the answers for these. Recall, what names did Harry Houdini perform under before becoming famous as the King of Handcuffs? Did you guys get that? What's the answer to that? Who has it? It's on page 808, I believe. No, where's the first page? No, I'm sorry. Page 806, I believe, right here. So it looks like he was called Progia the Wild Man, which is weird. Can you imagine him being known as Progia? Is that a J or a G? I forget already. J. Now it said names, so is there another name? Yep, the King of Cards. So the answer, and I'm not going to write these down for time's sake, but the answer to number one, here's one, here's two. So he didn't go out there and just, yeah, can you imagine? He's no other than Houdini. That's like the perfect name. But does it tell you how he got the name? Because there was a magician named Robert Houdin, and Harry Houdini studied him, and that's how he got Houdini. Because remember, his real name was not Houdini, it was Eric Weiss. Question number two, what advice did Martin Beck give Houdini? Now, Martin Beck was like Houdini's manager. So I can tell we did not do what I asked you to do here in class. And how are you supposed to get better at reading? You have to do your work, right? So let's make sure we are doing what I'm asking you to do, especially since we're not in school every day. So I'm skimming, I'm looking for Beck. I don't see Beck on this page. So down here I see the name of Martin Beck on page 807. Martin Beck, who ran the entire Orpheum vaudeville circuit. So he was a pretty important guy, this Martin Beck. Liked metamorphosis and the handcuff escape. He told Houdini to drop the card, billiard ball, and paper tearing tricks from the act. Beck wanted Houdini to do a 20-minute turn in the top vaudeville theaters. So right there's your answer to number two. He just wanted Harry Houdini to do the tricks, like the exciting ones. Forget the billiards, forget the card playing games. Summarize. Now, Harry Houdini was a very honest person. He did not believe in tricking people. He wanted to entertain them, so he never claimed to that that he wasn't just there to perform. So, summarize. How did Houdini try to prove that he wasn't cheating during his performances? What did he do? Respond. Okay, so on page 808, responding to an accusation that he used keys to open handcuffs, Houdini went to a San Francisco police station on July 13th, 1899. His clothes were removed and examined by a police surgeon who certified that he was hiding nothing. Okay. But what he would do is he would put keys inside his skin and then pop it out of his skin. Sometimes Bess would kiss him and she would have a key in her mouth and they would pass it through after they had taken all his clothes off and stuff. Critical analysis. Reread lines 121 and 127. What does Houdini's method of advertising his performances tell you about him? So go to line 121, which is on page 808, right down here. Although profoundly successful, Houdini needed more. The Houdini legend was started and continuously reinforced by a tireless engine churning out mountains of promotion. The engine was Houdini's mind. A 1900 flyer he sent to theater managers announced, "Where the possibility ceases, the impossibility commences. Harry Houdini, king of handcuffs, defies duplication, explanation, imitation, or contradiction." So the question is, what does Houdini's method of advertising his performances tell you about him? Well, it tells me that he knows how to use propaganda, which we study propaganda in more detail in 8th grade. You guys are inundated with propaganda in the media. Propaganda are like pamphlets, posters, advertisements, commercials that try and get you to feel a certain way or buy a certain product. I would also say Harry Houdini understood the English language and how to say things to get what he wanted across. The bell's going to ring, so let's move on. I don't know if we're going to get to the back because it was going to take that long. So I'll probably this afternoon start off talking. We probably will just start. So you guys, if you have questions about the next page, you can look this afternoon. There'll be 2 videos. So clarify the main idea. What do you think is the main idea of the entire selection? That's a tough question. What do you think? If you didn't read it, it's probably difficult. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll start there, give you some time to maybe read the story and see if your answer is correct. So don't forget your minutes tomorrow. Also, the crisscross puzzle. If you have it done, you can stick it in the wire basket. If you finish it over the weekend, just send me a picture of it finished. And then we can move on. If you're at home and you're virtual, just send me a picture. That way, we can just move on Monday. Anything else that I forgot to mention that's due? Okay.